So we're going to be on page 125 of our notes, and we're continuing with Unit 6, Ecology. Today we're going to focus on biogeochemical cycles. So let's break down this word first before we move on. Bio, hopefully we all remember, means life. Like biology is the study of life. Geo is relating to the earth or land. And then we have our chemical cycles. So what we're really looking at in this unit are chemicals that move throughout Earth that are necessary for life. So chemicals on Earth, molecules on Earth that are necessary for life and actually have to be cycled, or you can even think of recycled throughout the Earth. And so just backtracking for a second, thinking about what we've talked about so far in this unit. We've talked about We've talked about our different levels of organization, starting with the biosphere, every living thing on Earth, all the way down to one individual organism and how it uses its habitat, or how it requires or has a certain niche, a certain way of life. And so we're going to think about how are these different chemicals related to that one organism, or that population, or that community, or that ecosystem. And so we're still kind of working on the big picture right now. How are these molecules being used throughout an ecosystem? And the first cycle that we'll look at is actually the water cycle, which is one of the ones that you should be most familiar with. For the water cycle, just keep in mind that water, H2O, is an inorganic compound, inorganic molecule. And if it's inorganic, that means it's not made of CH now, and I can't write this in right now, but my pen's not working. But if you'll write in water is inorganic, and is it abiotic or biotic? Water is actually going to be abiotic. It's never ever living and never ever will be living. So water is going to enter through precipitation. Just remind yourself that precipitation, you can even circle it on the picture, is going to be rain or snow. Okay, and actually I don't think you have the picture, so let's write in beside precipitation. That could be rain, snow, sleet, hail. It'll enter the cycle through rain or snow. It'll actually go through infiltration, where it'll be absorbed by the ground, and move into what's known as our water table. What's most important for you to keep in mind is how does it get to the Earth? Okay, geochemical cycle, geo. And how is it going to cycle back up or move back out of the Earth? And we're actually going to exit through evaporation when the sun pulls up that water, or transpiration when water leaves the leaf, the stomata. Okay, transpiration is in your leaves, evaporation is pulling water up. The next cycle we have is the carbon cycle, and the carbon cycle is very, very important because all organic molecules, all living things, do require carbon. Although keep in mind they'll also require water in the other cycles as well. But in the carbon cycle, we're going to be powered by respiration and photosynthesis. But looking at this picture, looking at the diagram you have in your notes, notice that we have many sources of respiration. We have respiration from detritivores, that's actually our decomposers. You might want to write that right down here, decomposer. Again, my pen's not working right now. Decomposers. Another source of respiration, or another source of carbon dioxide getting to the atmosphere, would be from plants. Plants also go through respiration. We have respiration, or carbon dioxide being released into the environment, through our consumers as well, through our high-level consumers and our primary consumers. So respiration is how CO2 gets into the atmosphere. How CO2 gets into the atmosphere. respiration, let's write how CO2 gets into the ecosystem. And for photosynthesis, photosynthesis will actually be the only way that we take CO2 out of the atmosphere. And this can occur using plants, algae, or cyanobacteria. Remember we talked about this before, that plants, algae, and cyanobacteria can be producers. And so they're going to take carbon dioxide from the air, and I would circle the carbon dioxide up top here, and take it away. So that's how we're going to move this through the environment. The next cycle we have is the oxygen cycle, which is very similar, or actually the opposite of the carbon cycle. The oxygen cycle is driven by photosynthesis because photosynthesis will release O2. Write that beside there. Release O2. And then, on the other hand, oxygen is going to be consumed or taken away from the ecosystem, from the environment, through respiration and decay. When we talk about decay, we mean that we're going to need oxygen to help break down those dead organisms. And we'll need oxygen for respiration in the mitochondria to make ATP. So again, you have another good picture here. They're showing you that O2 is getting into the environment from photosynthesis, but it's being taken out by respiration. And then the opposite happens. In respiration, we're going to give off CO2, part of the carbon cycle, and take up CO2 through photosynthesis. So you have the oxygen cycle up top, you have the carbon cycle on the bottom. And the last cycle we have is the nitrogen cycle. And in the nitrogen cycle, we have bacteria that are responsible for converting or changing nitrogen gas into a usable form. What this means is we actually have a lot of nitrogen available in the air that we breathe. But nitrogen in the air cannot be used by our cells. And we actually need the nitrogen to make proteins. So down here, nitrogen is essential for living organisms so they can build proteins. So again, we have to have some nitrogen fixating or fixing bacteria to change the N2 gas, nitrogen gas, into a usable form. And the picture does a good job of explaining this. We have nitrogen in the atmosphere. Nitrogen in the atmosphere will actually be fixed or changed by bacteria. Once it's changed by bacteria, our plants can actually absorb those nutrients through its roots. And then our animals or the consumers can use the nitrogen that's found in the plants. And that's how nitrogen gets to us, after the plants have taken it up and after the bacteria have fixed it. So nitrogen cycle, really important for our proteins. Because again, our proteins do everything in our body. And that's actually going to be it for today.